In a shocking twist that's left Washington reeling, reports have surfaced that Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell may have been involved in a secretive deal with Chinese officials, allegedly offering access to sensitive U.S. intelligence in exchange for unknown favors. Sources close to the situation claim that McConnell has been holding private meetings and communications with foreign operatives, raising serious questions about his loyalty and motives. Anonymous insiders suggest that McConnell's alleged ties to China could be deeper than previously imagined. Rumors are circulating that sensitive information, possibly even classified material, could have been part of the exchange. Is this a breach of national security? Or is there more to the story? Concerned Americans demand answers, with political leaders and citizens alike calling for an investigation into what could be the most alarming act of political betrayal in recent history. With outrage growing, bipartisan calls are mounting for McConnell to address the accusations. Both parties are scrambling to understand the scope of this alleged deal, as the implications could be catastrophic for national security. Stay tuned for ongoing updates on this developing scandal and its potential to shake the very foundations of U.S. government integrity. The alleged deal between Mitch McConnell and Chinese officials has sent shockwaves through Washington, igniting calls for an immediate investigation. Across the nation, political leaders, intelligence agencies, and concerned citizens are all demanding answers. The mere suggestion that a prominent political figure could be involved in handing over U.S. secrets to a foreign power has prompted a wave of outrage and disbelief. Media outlets scramble to cover the story from every angle, with breaking news segments dissecting each new detail. Panelists debate the potential ramifications of such a deal, questioning whether this could compromise America's security and international standing. One commentator noted, "If these allegations hold any truth, this could be one of the most significant breaches of trust in American history." Social media is ablaze with reactions, with hashtags like #McConnell-China-Scandal and #Betrayal of America trending nationwide. Citizens from all walks of life share their shock and anger, calling the alleged actions a betrayal of the American people. Posts flood timelines, with users demanding justice and accountability from their leaders. Political analysts speculate on the potential motives behind McConnell's alleged actions, theorizing that the deal may have involved financial gains or strategic benefits. Some believe he could have been seeking personal leverage in upcoming political battles, while others wonder if this is part of a broader strategy with international implications. Each theory fuels further speculation, leaving the public eager for more answers. Former intelligence officials are voicing their concerns, warning that if the deal is real, the information shared could include sensitive data on U.S. national defense, technology, or military strategies. They argue that such a breach could severely weaken America's global position, giving adversaries a significant advantage. The possibility of compromised national secrets is seen as a direct threat to U.S. interests. Calls for a formal inquiry grow louder as both Republican and Democratic lawmakers express their shock and disbelief. Some members of Congress demand a closed-door investigation to determine the extent of the alleged leak. Politicians on both sides of the aisle agree that, if true, McConnell's actions would be unacceptable and must be addressed with urgency. Political activists organize protests outside government buildings, carrying signs with slogans like "Protect Our Secrets" and "No Deals with China." These demonstrations attract large crowds, all rallying against the perceived betrayal of American security. The protests reflect a deep sense of frustration and fear among citizens who feel their trust has been broken. Meanwhile, McConnell's office releases a brief statement denying any involvement in the alleged deal. The statement insists that the rumors are part of a smear campaign aimed at damaging his political reputation. However, the denial does little to quell the public's suspicion, with critics pointing out that similar denials have been issued in past political scandals. Intelligence agencies are rumored to be investigating the situation, working to verify the authenticity of the claims. Sources suggest that they're examining McConnell's communications for any signs of unauthorized contact with foreign officials. This investigation is said to be top priority, as agencies race against time to secure any potentially compromised information. Political talk shows cover the scandal extensively, with hosts and guests debating what consequences McConnell should face if the allegations are proven true. Some call for immediate resignation, while others suggest that such an act could warrant criminal charges. The discussions reveal the strong emotions tied to the issue, as Americans grapple with the gravity of a potential betrayal. In response to the scandal, several senators introduced legislation aimed at increasing transparency and oversight regarding politicians' interactions with foreign powers. This proposed legislation would require stricter reporting and monitoring of high-level officials' international dealings, aiming to prevent similar situations in the future. For many, This initiative feels like a necessary step toward restoring trust in government. International reactions begin to pour in, with allies expressing concerns over the potential fallout from such a breach. Foreign leaders worry that classified information shared with China could destabilize alliances and strain diplomatic relationships. The global community watches closely, eager to see how the U.S. handles the allegations and the potential threat to international security. As the investigation progresses, former officials from McConnell's inner circle are questioned, and some allegedly reveal unusual travel patterns and communications. These details only heighten suspicion, with media outlets reporting that key players close to McConnell may have information relevant to the case. Speculation about who else might be involved fuels further intrigue, with journalists working to identify any potential accomplices. Economists warn that the scandal could have economic implications, particularly in sectors tied to defense and technology. If sensitive information was shared, they argue, it could undermine the competitiveness of U.S. industries, potentially harming the economy. Their warnings add an economic layer to an already complex and high-stakes situation, underscoring the wide-ranging impacts of such a breach. At the grassroots level, citizens mobilize to demand action, calling on their representatives to hold McConnell accountable. Advocacy groups organize campaigns, urging Americans to contact their elected officials and demand a full investigation. They argue that the public deserves transparency and justice, framing the issue as a fundamental test of American integrity. Military leaders express concerns about the potential effects of the alleged breach on U.S. defense operations. Some worry that any shared information could compromise military strategies or endanger lives. They emphasize the importance of protecting sensitive data, especially in an era of heightened global tensions. Their statements reflect the seriousness of the potential threat posed by the alleged deal. Amid the controversy, McConnell's political allies find themselves under pressure to address the allegations. Some distance themselves from him, while others defend his character, claiming that he would never engage in such a deal. Their mixed responses reveal a fracture within his support base, as former allies weigh the risks of standing by him in light of the growing scandal. Political commentators suggest that this controversy could have a significant impact on upcoming elections, with voters now questioning the trustworthiness of their leaders. Some predict that the scandal could lead to a wave of new candidates promising to uphold national security and prioritize transparency. For many, this issue has become a key factor in their voting decisions, as they seek leaders who will restore trust. As the scandal grows, public libraries and online resources on national security become popular as Americans educate themselves on issues of espionage and intelligence. Many want to understand the risks associated with leaks of sensitive information, feeling that this knowledge empowers them to engage in the political discourse surrounding the case. International security analysts highlight that if true, the alleged deal could shift the balance of power in Asia, strengthening China's geopolitical position. They argue that access to U.S. secrets would allow China to anticipate and counter American strategies, affecting not only the U.S. but also its allies in the region. Their analyses underscore the potential global repercussions of the alleged breach. Late-night talk show hosts satirize the scandal, presenting skits that portray McConnell as a character entangled in a web of intrigue. While some viewers find humor in the situation, others argue that the comedic angle detracts from the seriousness of the alleged betrayal. For many, the controversy is no laughing matter, as it represents a possible security risk with far-reaching implications. In homes across America, families discuss the scandal and what it means for the future of U.S. politics. Some express disbelief that such an event could even be possible, while others voice concerns about the increasing frequency of political controversies. These discussions reflect a growing sense of disillusionment with political leadership, as citizens worry about who they can trust. Public opinion surveys show a steep decline in McConnell's approval ratings, with many Americans expressing a loss of faith in his leadership. The poll results highlight the severity of the public's response, as citizens struggle to reconcile their views with the gravity of the allegations. Analysts suggest that McConnell's political future may be in jeopardy as a result of the scandal. Amidst the uproar, civil rights organizations raise concerns about the potential for this scandal to erode public trust in government institutions. They argue that Americans must hold leaders accountable to prevent similar situations in the future. These groups emphasize the importance of transparency and honesty, calling on citizens to demand higher standards from their representatives. As Election Day approaches, candidates on both sides make pledges to safeguard national security, promising voters that they will prioritize transparency in government dealings. Campaign ads focus on themes of patriotism and trust, appealing to voters who feel disillusioned by the scandal. For many candidates, This controversy becomes a central talking point in their campaigns. With investigations underway, intelligence agencies reportedly work around the clock to verify the extent of the alleged deal. Their top priority is to identify any compromised information and mitigate potential security risks. The agency's efforts reflect the high stakes involved, as they race to secure the nation's sensitive data and protect it from foreign influence. As more details emerge, rumors of a potential impeachment or criminal charges begin to circulate. Some politicians call for McConnell's resignation, insisting that his position is untenable in light of the allegations. Legal experts weigh in, debating the potential for criminal prosecution if evidence of wrongdoing is discovered. The conversation underscores the unprecedented nature of the scandal. Historians weigh in on the controversy, comparing it to past espionage cases that threatened national security. They analyze how previous scandals impacted public trust in government, warning that such events can have lasting effects on the national psyche. For them, this moment is a reminder of the importance of vigilance and accountability in preserving democratic values. In classrooms, teachers lead discussions on the role of government transparency, encouraging students to think critically about the responsibilities of public officials. Students voice their concerns about the scandal, questioning how their government leaders can be held accountable. These conversations reflect the growing interest among young Americans in civic engagement and national security. As the investigation into Mitch McConnell's alleged deal with China unfolds, the American public grows increasingly anxious for answers. Each day without an update heightens the tension, with citizens left wondering just how deep the alleged ties go. Journalists and investigators comb through McConnell's political and financial history, searching for any irregularities that might suggest an improper relationship with foreign entities. News channels provide round-the-clock coverage, with newscasters analyzing McConnell's past votes on key foreign policy issues. Every decision he's made that may have benefited China is now under intense scrutiny, with some commentators suggesting he may have been influenced by outside interests for years. The question on everyone's mind is whether this alleged connection with China is an isolated incident or part of a larger pattern. Social media platforms are flooded with discussions, as users speculate about what McConnell may have traded for access to U.S. secrets. Posts highlight every bit of his public history with China, including visits, speeches, and interactions with Chinese officials. Theories range from simple financial incentives to complex power plays, as citizens piece together a narrative of alleged betrayal. Amidst this chaos, McConnell's closest allies find themselves forced to distance from him. Some of his most vocal supporters within the Republican Party issue statements expressing grave concern over the allegations and vow to support any investigation that brings transparency. Their quick pivot reflects the depth of the scandal, as allies attempt to protect their own reputations from the fallout. Rumors circulate that the FBI has compiled a dossier on McConnell's foreign dealings, detailing connections, meetings, and possible financial transactions that could suggest undue influence. Though the FBI remains tight-lipped, insiders hint that the dossier could contain explosive information, potentially implicating other figures as well. The existence of this dossier only adds to the public's impatience, with calls for its release growing louder by the day. Protests erupt in major cities across the United States, with citizens demanding McConnell's immediate resignation. Crowds chant, "Protect our secrets," and "No traitors in government." The protests draw diverse crowds, reflecting a wide-ranging fear that this alleged breach of trust could have long-lasting implications for American security. For many, this is more than a political scandal. It's a fundamental issue of patriotism. In Washington, lawmakers begin drafting new security regulations aimed at preventing future breaches of sensitive information. Proposed policies would require thorough background checks and detailed financial disclosures from public officials, especially those with access to classified information. Some members of Congress see this as a necessary response to public outcry, arguing that stronger protections are crucial to safeguarding national interests. Across the globe, foreign allies watch the situation with growing concern. Diplomatic channels light up as countries reach out to American officials, seeking reassurance that their intelligence-sharing arrangements will remain secure. Allies express doubts about continuing intelligence collaboration if U.S. secrets can be so easily compromised. The diplomatic fallout adds a new level of urgency to the investigation. Within intelligence agencies, officials work around the clock to determine the full scope of the potential security breach. Analysts review data on compromised files, tracking any instances where sensitive information might have been accessed by unauthorized parties. The pressure is high, as officials race to secure any vulnerable intelligence before it can be used against the U.S. or its allies. Public libraries and bookstores see an increased interest in books about espionage, foreign influence, and government accountability. Americans want to understand what may be at stake if their country's secrets have been leaked. This heightened interest reflects a collective determination to stay informed and vigilant, with citizens eager to engage in discussions about national security. Late-night talk shows and political satirists address the scandal in humorous skits, but the underlying message is serious. While audiences laugh, they also grapple with the sobering realization that a public official may have risked national security for personal or political gain. The satire serves as a release valve for national tension, allowing people to process the scandal in a way that feels manageable. Meanwhile, McConnell's family and close associates find themselves under scrutiny as well, with reporters looking for any signs of unusual behavior or unexplained wealth. Journalists question whether those close to him were aware of his alleged actions, and if so, to what extent they were involved. Family members issue statements defending McConnell's character, but the questions linger, adding fuel to the fire. The controversy sparks intense debate among political commentators, who argue about the implications for American democracy. Some suggest that if the allegations are true, they could lead to a reckoning within the political system, prompting major reforms. Others worry that the scandal will further polarize an already divided nation, eroding public trust in government institutions. Polling numbers indicate that Americans are deeply divided on the issue, with some calling for immediate punishment and others waiting for conclusive evidence before forming opinions. The split reflects a larger issue in American politics, as citizens grapple with questions of accountability and transparency. For many, this scandal is emblematic of a broader problem within government. Educational institutions across the country hold forums on government ethics and foreign influence. Professors invite students to analyze the role of public accountability, encouraging them to explore how foreign influence could shape domestic policy. These discussions inspire a new generation of politically engaged students, who see the controversy as a call to action for future reform. The economic sector feels the scandal's impact as well, with investors expressing fears about the potential ramifications for industries that rely on security and defense contracts. Stock markets react to the news, with shares in certain industries experiencing fluctuations as investors grow wary of how the scandal might impact national defense policies. For many in the business world, the scandal represents both a financial and a security risk. International security experts warn that if sensitive information was indeed shared with China, the consequences could be far-reaching. Some speculate that compromised intelligence could give China a strategic advantage in regions of interest to both nations. The international community watches closely, aware that the U.S.'s response to the scandal will influence global power dynamics. At the same time, the rumor that classified technology information was shared with China prompts concerns within the tech industry. If advanced technologies were compromised, American companies could face increased competition from Chinese firms, potentially harming the U.S. economy. This potential impact adds a layer of complexity to an already high-stakes situation. McConnell's political rivals seize on the controversy, using it to rally support and position themselves as defenders of national security. They release statements condemning the alleged actions, promising to uphold American interests and prevent foreign influence in government. Their campaigns reflect the urgency of the situation, as they frame their platforms around the need for integrity in leadership. Meanwhile, civil liberties groups urge caution, warning that the scandal could lead to an overreach of government surveillance and restrictions on political freedom. They argue that while accountability is crucial, Americans must be vigilant to ensure that security measures do not infringe on individual rights. This debate highlights the tension between national security and personal freedom. In churches, mosques, and synagogues, religious leaders address the scandal in sermons, encouraging their congregations to reflect on the importance of honesty and integrity. Many urge their followers to stay informed and involved, framing the scandal as a test of the nation's values. These sermons resonate with attendees, who see the controversy as a reminder of the moral responsibilities of public officials. The media begins publishing op-eds from former intelligence officials who discuss the long-term consequences of the scandal for U.S. intelligence operations. Some argue that the scandal could weaken American influence on the global stage, while others suggest it could spur positive reforms. The op-eds spark further discussion, with readers debating the role of transparency in government. As the investigation reaches a critical phase, sources suggest that investigators are close to uncovering key information that could either validate or disprove the allegations. Speculation mounts, with citizens waiting anxiously for updates. For many, the outcome of the investigation will shape their trust in government and define their views on accountability in American politics. Newly released polls reveal that the scandal has increased interest in government transparency, with a majority of Americans supporting stricter oversight of public officials. The numbers reflect a desire for reform, as citizens push for policies that will hold leaders accountable for their actions. Analysts suggest that this could lead to significant changes in how public officials interact with foreign powers. As Election Day approaches, candidates focus heavily on themes of transparency and accountability, promising to restore public trust. Campaign ads highlight the importance of loyalty and patriotism, appealing to voters who feel disillusioned by recent events. For many candidates, the controversy has become a central issue, shaping their platforms and voter outreach strategies. Ultimately, the scandal surrounding Mitch McConnell's alleged deal with China leaves a lasting mark on the nation, reshaping the political landscape and sparking widespread debate on the integrity of American leadership.